going on, everyone? It's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and today I will be doing the upgrade guide for the Battle for Baldur's Gate Commander Legends Precon Party Time. If you haven't checked out the unboxing video that I did yesterday, please do so. But for now, let's just get right into it. As usual, I'm going to start with the lands as far as upgrades go. We are in a two-color deck, so that makes it a little easier. So we're going to look at a lot of the dual lands that are available to us for mana fixing. So obviously there's things like the Scrub land, which is the OG true dual land that's on the reserve list, and it could be a little expensive. Let's look at other options, like Godless Shrine, which is the shock land. It's a little cheaper. Isolated Chapel, it's a check land. Shattered Sanctum is one of the newer lands from Crimson Vale. It's kind of like a check land. Caves of Koilos is the Pain land that started in Ice Age and was just reprinted recently. Fetid Heath is the filtered land that you can use. And then, for some reason, this wasn't included in the box. I don't know why, but something like a base camp is a really good option. You've got some utility that you can go with as well. The first one I'll mention here is for Graveyard Recursion. Emiria, the Sky Ruin. If you have 7 or more planes, you can return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't know, that's a pretty good one here. Another option for that would be Volrath's Stronghold. You can return a creature from your graveyard to the top of your library, and the good thing about this is that your commander allows you to play cards from the top of your library, so that's a great option. Another good one here is Westvale Abbey. It creates tokens repeatable. It's a repeatable way to create tokens, and those tokens actually end up being clerics, so they fit the party theme as well. Another thing that we can add here is something like a Phyrexian Tower, and what better way to utilize those cleric tokens than with some sacrificial mana, because you can sacrifice a creature to add 2 black. Good option there. You can add the Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, and Cabal Coffers combination for a little bit of mana fixing and a lot of good ramp. And the last thing I'll mention here is Arch of Vraska. They already gave us War Room, so why not add a little bit more card draw, because we're a little weak in that section. As far as ramp upgrades go, we're in white, which is a good color. It's not the worst color in the world for mana ramping. It's not mana ramping, it's more like mana fixing, but we have things like land tax. I usually don't like that in 3-color decks, but because this is a 2-color deck, I'm okay with that. Smothering Tithe, great option here as well. And then Tithe itself, it's on the reserve list, unfortunately, and it's like a $20 or $30 card, but it'll help with this deck. That's the non-rocks. Some rocks that you do. Liquid Metal Torque, we're in white again, and I like to suggest it for red, but white has the same thing. It has disenchantment effects, so you can use Liquid Metal Torque to its fullest. Prismatic Lens, it's colorless ramp, and then it's mana fixing as well. And then if you wanted to go a little pricey, you can do something like a Mana Crypt. As far as the creature upgrade sections go, I'm going to divide this out into the party mechanic themed different creatures. So I'm going to start with wizards. I'm going to start with Distinguished Conjurer. It's a part Soul Sister and a part Blink, and it actually pairs well with another one I'm going to mention, Preston the Vanisher. He can create tokens of creatures that you blinked with Distinguished Conjurer, and the added bonus is that it can also be a removal if you have enough creature tokens on the board and you can use them as sacrificial lambs. And the last 2 wizards that I'll suggest here are both stacks pieces. You've got something like Spelltide Enforcer and Drannith Magistrate, and the good thing about Drannith Magistrate is it's a potential lock with one other card on the board. A couple of warriors that you can look at. I have a guy here I nicknamed Mr. Abs. It's Tenacious Underdog. Both of his pictures from his versions, just look at that guy. I like him because you can blitz him from the graveyard, and he goes really well with an aristocrat style theme, so that's another theme you can look at between Soul Sisters and aristocrats. Next up, I'll talk about Vexilus Praetor. I don't really usually like to suggest stuff from the Warhammer Commander Precons, but his ability to give your commanders protection from everything just seems too good not to mention. And the last one I'll mention here is Cliffhaven Vampire. It pairs well with Soul Sister style effects, because you gain life, and then he drains your opponent of their life totals. A few of the rogues that you should look into, something like Opposition Agent. He steals your opponent's ability to tutor cards. You get to control what they choose. And he pairs very well with Varagoth Bloodsky Sire, because he has an ability with his boast ability to make a player search their library for a card and put it on top. And it pairs well with the Opposition Agent because you can make them put useless stuff on top of their library, or you can even use it for yourself to set yourself up for better draws. And then the last one I'll mention here is Morbid Opportunist. It's just good card draw whenever a creature dies. And the last creature type left is Clerics for the party theme. I'll start off with Ellis Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim. It's an aristocrat and a Soul Sister style card, and if you wanted to go Soul Sisters, you could also do the Soul Warden, the Soul's Attendant, all the ones that do the Soul Sister stuff. Archivist of Ogma, it's situational card draw. Giver of Runes, it's just an upgraded Mother of Runes for the most part. And then I'll give you a bonus one, one that's not any of the party creature types. I'll give you Blood Artist and all the creatures that actually do what Blood Artist does, so you can give that aristocrat feel for the deck, so you can actually combine here aristocrat and Soul Sisters if you want. As far as spell upgrades go, this deck is more based on a creature style of deck because of the party theme, but I'll give you some suggestions here. And they gave us Stick Together as the party-themed board wipe, so let's go over a couple of other ones. And we're in black and white, so there are good options here. Dam is a good one, Damnation, Wrath of God, and there is a whole bunch of other ones you can look at. I would suggest looking on MTG Familiar or The Gatherer, so you can look at the ones that will fit the theme that you want to run. On top of that, we're also in really good colors for targeted removal. So you got things like Swords of Plowshare. It's just a lot of options you can look at. For protection, you can use something like a Teferi's Protection. There's party-themed tutors out there like Coveted Prize, and of course you're going to look at black and white's other options like Demonic Tutors and Vampire Tutors and Lightning Tutor, whatever you want. Ascend the Avernus is a good graveyard recursion spell. This color combination has a ton of options for that as well, like Living Death, Living End. There's a bunch here. You got situational card draw. You got Damnable Pact. It lets you draw by you sacrificing life. And of course, if you're doing an Aristocrat or Soul Sisters or even both, that theme will gain you enough life that it won't really matter. Some enchantments that you should look at. Necropotence, great card draw, one of the best card draw cards in the game. Same thing with Takasha's Welcome. It's not really that great, but it actually fits the theme here. Cathar's Crusade, it's a nice little creature buff for you. Same thing with things like Force of Virtue. Haunted Crossroads, it's good graveyard recursion. Same thing with Endbringer's Revel and Malevolent Awakening. Great for those aristocrat-style themes here. Deafening Silence is a stacks piece that actually works very well since this is mostly a creature-based build. There's No Mercy and Ghostly Prison. They both can be used to help protect you a little bit and dissuade people from attacking you, and if they do, they pay for it. Some artifacts that you can look into as far as upgrading this deck. We'll start off with Bolas' Citadel. It actually has a similar ability to your commander, so that helps with good redundancy. And then we're going to look at a bunch of monuments. So the first two will be Bontu's and Oketra's monuments. They both reduce the cost of creatures of a specific color. So black and white creatures, depending on which one's out, will be reduced by 1. And then Bontu's monument has a sub-theme of aristocrats, while Oketra's monument lets you put warriors on the board, so helps your party theme there. The last monument I'll mention here is Eldrazi monument. It buffs all of your creatures. You have to sacrifice one at the beginning of your upkeep, so that should be okay if you're doing any of the monuments or any of the things that help create tokens, so that's a good option to use there. And then the last thing I'll mention is there are a lot of things that are artifacts that buff creature types, and since Maskwood Nexus was included in this precon, you can even choose those as well. As far as Walker upgrades, the problem was I couldn't find any that really deal with the party mechanics specifically, or even the creature types that are part of the party mechanics, so I just looked at generic ones that do benefits. So something like Elspeth's Sun's Champion can destroy creatures while buffing yours. That was the best one I could find. After that, I have a combination of two that I like. It's Teo the Shield Mage and the Wanderer. They both give you and or your creatures protections in some way, shape, or form, so I thought those would be a good addition for this deck as well. And finally, we've come to the win cons and combos. I actually have a pretty cool one here that involves Nalia. It's an actual game ender that is on theme with the party mechanic, and we're going to focus in on Nalia's party mechanic, the ability to cast party mechanic creature types from the top of your library. So we're going to start off with a Nalia on the battlefield, and Mortuary, the enchantment, on the battlefield from Stronghold. A Universal Automaton, because it is a Changeling, so it is all the creature types, so it will fit the party mechanic theme. You can cast it from the top of your library with Nalia's ability. And an Ashnod's Altar on the battlefield. This will create an infinite colorless mana loop, because the Universal Automaton is only 1 mana. You can sacrifice it to the altar to get 2 colorless. Mortuary will return it back to the top of your library, and with Nalia's ability you can cast it for 1, creating infinite mana. So, with that infinite mana, we have a way to actually kill people. There are 3 cards in the black-white colors that will work very well with this combo. Torment of Hellfire, Debt to the Deathless, or Exsanguinate, or all of them if you will, if you want to put all 3 in the deck. They all hit each opponent, and they all have X that can be colorless in their mana cost. And that's what I've got for you as far as some upgrade suggestions for the Party Time Commander Precon from Battle for Baldur's Gate. I said it before, I'm not really a big fan of the party theme. However, if you are or you want to give this a go, hopefully the upgrade guide here will help you get to where you want to be with it. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or just want to talk about the deck or any of the other decks and videos that I create, you can go ahead and contact me at bluebearsgames.online on Facebook. You can email me at bluebearsgames@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you when I have an opportunity. Or you can leave a comment in the section below, and I'll get back to you in that way. And then if you want to talk further after that, you can go ahead and contact me one of the other 2 ways. On top of that, if you're looking to help support the channel, there are a couple ways you can do so. The first way is actually just out of generosity. You can go ahead and do some donations to me. And the way you can do that is through PayPal at paypal.me/BlueBearsGames, at Venmo at BlueBearsGames, or through Cash App at $BlueBearsGames. The second way that you could help support the channel, this one actually gets you something for your money. You can go ahead and take a look at all the decks that I've made, and you can make a purchase of 1 or 2, or maybe even 5. I have 60-card decks available for sale, and I also have Commander decks available for sale. So if you're looking at them, you can go ahead and take a look at any of my stuff on the Facebook page or through the Facebook Marketplace. They're all available there. You can see the logo that you need to look for, and all those are available for purchase. You can contact me at any time, and we'll go ahead and talk about how you can acquire one of those. And the last option is the freest of the three options. You can do me the favor of subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. That way, when I get to my 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, somebody else will be paying for the bill. You can also like the video. Apparently, the analytics show that the more people who like your video, the more viewed it gets. So that would help me as well. Or you can share it out on your social medias, whatever one you have, and other people will eventually start subscribing and watching more videos. So all three options are great and will help support the channel. That is my time for the week. I want to thank you for watching. Please join me again next week for another deck build video, and I will see you all then. Have a good week.